Hey friends, and welcome to this new video dedicated to Garten of Banban RPX. Today I have some bad news to share with you, and I know many of you were waiting excitedly for the new update of Garten of Banban RPX, the official roleplay game of Garten of Banban on Roblox. As we all know, the developer said that a small update would be released on Saturday. Even if it was supposed to be a small one, it was still going to bring some cool new features to the game. But now it's Sunday, and guess what? The update still hasn't arrived. So the big question everyone is asking is, what happened to the update? Was it delayed? Was it cancelled? Or is there something more serious going on behind the scenes of the game's development? In this video, we're going to try to understand what might have happened. But before we start, I want to ask something important. Please don't be rude toward the developer. Maybe it was delayed by one day, as it has happened many times in the past. Believe me, developing and updating a game is not easy. There are so many things that can go wrong, from unexpected bugs to technical problems to last-minute issues that delay everything. And I know this very well because I'm also developing my own game. And I can tell you from experience that game development can be extremely complicated. Sometimes you think everything is ready, and then suddenly something breaks, or you realize a small mistake has caused a huge problem. I totally get that some of you might feel disappointed, but anger doesn't solve anything. And while you're here, if you love Garten of Banban series and want to stay updated on every piece of news about the game, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future updates or news videos about Garten of Banban. In today's video, we're going to try to understand why the update hasn't come out yet. Let's start first of all with the silence of Jewel Games, the official developer of Garten of Banban RPX. The last news we got from Jewel Games goes back to just a few days ago when he announced that a new update would be released on Saturday. But then complete silence. Throughout the entire day yesterday, Jewel Games didn't post anything on the official Discord server. And that immediately triggered a wave of questions and concern from the community. Is the update still coming out today? Was it delayed? Is there some kind of issue? But despite the messages, no official reply has come in. No announcement, no explanation, not even a short note saying the update would be postponed for a few hours or a day. And that's really very unusual, because those who've been following Garten of Banban RPX for a while know that Jewel Games has always been very communicative. In the past, every time an update was delayed or cancelled, the developer would always let everyone know, even with a quick message. So even when there were problems, there was always direct communication with the community. But this time, no. This time there's been total silence. And that leaves us in a very unclear situation, because right now we can't say for sure if the update was cancelled or just delayed. There's no proof of either option. The only certain thing is that no official statements have been made, and until we get an update from Jewel Games, everything remains pure speculation. However, before we get too worried, it's important to remember that this isn't the first time an update for Garten of Banban RPX has been delayed by one day. In the past, we've already seen updates planned for Saturday actually drop on Sunday afternoon or even late at night. So we can't rule out the possibility that the same thing is happening again. Maybe Jewel Games is still working on some technical details, or maybe he wants to make sure there are no bugs before releasing the new version. It's also possible that the developer had some personal issues. So, there are many possibilities, but until we get an official statement, the only thing we can do is wait patiently and hope that both the update and some new information arrive soon. Personally, I believe that in the next few hours or days we'll finally know what's going on. In the meantime, my advice is to stay connected to the official Discord and keep following the channel, because as soon as new information drops, I'll be right here to tell you everything. Now let's try to understand what might have happened to the update, and let's explore some possible theories based on what we know so far. Of course, as always, I want to remind you that these are just theories. There are no official confirmations yet, so we are simply analyzing the most logical possibilities based on past events and how Jewel Games has handled similar situations. Let's start with the first theory, the simplest. The update could have been postponed by just a few days. As we mentioned earlier, it would not be the first time that a Garten of Banban RPX update experiences a small delay. It has happened multiple times in the past that an update planned for the weekend was released 1 or 2 days later. Maybe the developer found a last-minute bug or decided to do a final check to make sure everything works correctly before publishing the new content. In these cases, the delay is minimal, but it feels bigger to the community, which is obviously eagerly waiting for every new update. So, The first hypothesis is that the update has not been cancelled, but simply delayed by a day or two. It could come today, or even tomorrow, as has happened before. Remember that even in the past, there were similar cases where a Saturday update was released on Sunday afternoon or late evening. Now let's move to the second theory, a bit more complex. The update could have been delayed by a week or even longer. In this case, the cause could be some technical or organizational issue during development. It can happen that the developer realizes at the last moment that some essential graphics or scripts are still missing to complete the update, and decides to postpone everything to the following weekend to fix all the details. A similar situation happened with the update of Chapter 7 map. That update was postponed because some resources were still missing to complete the map. And without these resources, the game could not function properly, and currently that map is not available. So it is entirely possible that this Saturday update is in a similar situation. Maybe Jewel Games is still working to finalize the last details, or waiting for external resources before publishing. And now, we come to the third theory, unfortunately, the worst one, the possible cancellation of the update. I don't want to alarm anyone, but we have to consider every possibility until official news arrives. However, attention. Jewel Games has not announced the cancellation of this update. There is no message confirming such a decision. So, at the moment, talking about cancellation is only an extreme hypothesis, not based on concrete data. However, we must consider that in the past, some small updates were suspended or postponed indefinitely, so it wouldn't be entirely impossible for this update to face the same fate. But I repeat, there are no confirmations, so we cannot state it for sure. In conclusion, the three main theories are these: a simple delay of 1 or 2 days, a longer postponement due to technical problems or missing resources, and the least likely, but still possible, cancellation of the update. Until there is an official message from Jewel Games, the only thing we can do is wait patiently and not jump to conclusions. Sometimes developer silence hides a surprise, other times just a small setback. We will soon see which of these theories turns out to be true. And that's it for today. I want to thank all of you for watching until the end and for taking a few minutes of your time to stay updated on the situation of Garten of Banban RPX. I know many of you were eagerly waiting for this update, and I completely understand the disappointment, but as we've seen together, there are still many possibilities open. In the meantime, I invite you to stay tuned to the channel, because as soon as any news arrives, I'll be the first to tell you with a new video. So if you haven't done it yet, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next updates and all the news from the world of Garten of Banban RPX. A big hug to everyone, and as always, see you next time, friends. Bye bye.